Hello and welcome to Unrigged Live, the pre-show. We are here at Music City Center in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Jen Johnson.
I'm Sean Klyer. We have an incredible show lined up for you starting in just about 30 minutes tonight. Ed Helms and Jennifer Lawrence have offered to host our show tonight. We couldn't be more giddy about that because they're superstars, which is amazing. But there's a whole host of incredible performers tonight. Great musical acts from here locally in Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City. We also have a couple of great speakers this evening, right?
We do, yeah. We have RepresentUs director Josh Silver will be speaking. We have Kate Gilmore, the UN's Deputy High Commissioner on Human Rights.
Mm-hmm. Emma Gonzalez,
I know.
who's, a superstar from March for Our Lives. We couldn't be more excited to have her here.
Yeah.
And then Sasheer Zamata of SNL fame is also going to be doing some stand-up for us tonight, which is exciting.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so please stay tuned all the way through this pre-show because the show starts in just 27 minutes.
Right, and for the pre-show, we actually have a lot of fun things scheduled for you as well.
That's right.
So we're going to be talking to people who are attendees, who are speakers here, and asking them a few questions. And first off, I do want to talk a little bit about Unrigged Live. What is that? Why are we here in Nashville, Tennessee? It's not just for the show tonight, it's actually for the conference, which is Unrigged Summit.
It's been 3 days of coalition building around the issue of money in politics, ethics reform, gerrymandering, electoral reform, and it's kind of been amazing because this might be the only place in America where we're gathering over 2,000 people from every political persuasion, from the far left to the far right to the center, plus people of all ages, people from all 50 states.
All 50 states,
yeah.
Over 2,000 people are here.
Right.
It's the second year we've done this, and it's really interesting. I mean, we have people coming who are writing the laws, who are writing the books on the policies that are being passed, and we have people who are coming to learn how they can pass those policies. So it's really, people working hand in hand. This morning we had a panel called How They Won, which was full of campaign leaders from 2018 victories sharing their knowledge with people who are getting ready to pass campaigns in 2020, which is just so inspiring to see.
It's amazing, and people from so many different activist spaces. You have legislation and reform in the tax arena, as well as environmental reform and different kinds of social change like criminal justice reform. It's all happening here because at its root is the problem of money in politics. So it's so neat to see all of these different kinds of people coming together in one space.
Yeah, and refreshing to hear people from the left and the right actually say they don't care what the other people's politics are as long as they're ready to get down to business and solve this problem.
Right. It's a true coalition building space. And it's been a lot of hard work all weekend long. I mean, everybody here you see now is unwinding and having a drink right now, and it's well-deserved because tonight is about celebrating all of that hard work that, everyone's put in over the last several years. So let's spend the next little bit of time celebrating some of the guests who've come and invite a few of them on stage.
Yeah, let's get started with our first guest.
Great.
Who is a state representative from North Dakota, Ruth Buffalo. So Ruth, come on up. Yeah. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Feel free to say hello to the fans at home.
Hi, everybody. Hi, North Dakota. Hi, Mom.
And I'm curious to hear, what has your day been like? What have you done today?
Today was pretty busy. I sat on a panel for women leaders, and then I also was a part of the plenary session this morning. So it's been really busy, and it's been a lot of fun. I get stopped in the hallways to visit, and so it's really nice. It's a good atmosphere.
What's one of the takeaways from the women leading panel?
Just the empowerment and the common theme of supporting one another and encouraging others to run for office, to win, and to also support elected officials once they're in office. So
we're in this unique space right now where I think a lot of younger people are more interested in running for office than has ever been the case, maybe at least in my lifetime. What do you think we can attribute that to?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We were just talking in the cab ride over here that a young man had told one of the grandmas from North Dakota that he was going to run for office, and he told her, will you support me? And she said, of course. And she said, what are you going to run for? And he said, I don't know, but I'm going to run. So it's pretty inspiring. You know, we are in challenging times right now in our country, and we are in polarized times. But I think in any situation, people are rising above such challenges and coming together, just like here at this event. So it's very inspiring, and I'm very happy that I was able to make it out here this weekend.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't be more appreciative of your attendance and lending your insights. And also, we're going to try and play a game with our guests. Because like you said, these are crazy times. So
crazy.
we decided to come up with a game that reflects that. It's called Real Life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline.
Do you know the show House of Cards? Okay, good.
We're going to read something that might or might not have happened in American history, and you tell us if you think it's real or if it was a thrown away bit from House of Cards. You got one? Okay.
Yeah, so the first prompt is a representative uses taxpayer funds to redecorate their office to resemble the set of Downton Abbey, the TV show. Real life or discarded House of Cards plotline?
The House of Cards.
House of Cards?
Yeah.
The verdict says real life.
Real life.
This was Aaron Schock of Illinois, so he spent $40,000 to redecorate his office so it looked like the Red Room from Downton Abbey. He got caught, he repaid the money, but still one of the more absurd things that happened in like 5 years ago or less, something like that.
Well, thanks for. I think it's ridiculous too, and does sound like a TV show. So
Yeah.
I think I would have gotten that wrong as well.
Well, this is a fun game because there's some truth to this. I think, you know, sometimes we're living in a time where it's like, did that really just happen? You know, or is it a movie? Is this a scene from a movie? So yeah.
Absolutely.
That,
Well, hey, thank you so much for coming and joining us,
Thank you.
and we
Appreciate
definitely enjoy the show tonight, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thanks, Ruth.
Thanks so much.
Oh wow,
She is lovely.
she's so great.
She is so great.
Oh my gosh.
You were able to interview her earlier today, right?
Yeah, I did have a chance to talk with her. She was talking a little bit about how she came from being a community organizer to wanting to actually run for office and represent the people. And what I found really interesting about what she had to say is that as an elected representative, part of what she's doing is try to tell her constituents how the process works. Because a lot of people don't know how to get their voice heard, and it is a really bureaucratic and hard to understand process. And so she's using social media to get the word out, come to the next hearing, to give testimony to the Senate, because you can't just do it to the House. Anyway, it was just really interesting.
I think the American people are used to electing someone, and as soon as they're in office, it seems like the doors close and we no longer have any access to them. After even maybe we went out and made phone calls, phone bank for them and whatnot. So it's cool to see a representative committed to bringing us along in their journey, making sure we're included once they're in office. That's really refreshing.
Yeah.
Happy to have her.
We actually have our next guest ready. It's Patricia Berry, who's coming on.
Right.
Who's an Unrig attendee here, and she's joining us.
Welcome, Patricia. Hi.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. It's incredible. Kindred spirits, activists, I love it. It's incredible.
Are you an activist?
Yeah, of sorts. I'm learning how to be.
You're what?
I said I'm learning how to be by being at this summit.
Well, what brought you here to begin with?
Well, I want to get a proposition on the ballot in California to abolish the secret way of putting judges on the bench in California.
Amazing. What is the way that judges are appointed in California?
Well, without getting too complicated, there's this tiny state bar board of trustees of 12 people who secretly appoint these commissioners who then secretly evaluate attorneys that the governor appoints. And there's just so much judicial corruption, and that process, because it's secret, invites the corruption.
One of the things I'm wondering about, you just said that you're learning how to be an activist or learning how to be able to do that by being here. What is something that you've learned here that you think will help you?
Oh, I learned so much. For example, learning the ins and outs of even getting the nuts and bolts of getting the proposition on the ballot, how to organize, how to crowdfund, how to develop a list of donors and supporters and people that'll go to bat, the volunteer team, and it's just exciting. Then I got to find somebody to write the proposition for me.
Well, I'm excited for our next conference to have you back and hear that you've successfully passed this ballot measure.
Yes.
And how cool would that be?
And if I do, it will be the summit, and I will give full credit. Full credit.
Wow. Well,
I don't think we deserve full credit. You're the one who came here. You know, you deserve the credit.
But what's so electric about this summit is that there are so many people here that feel the way I do. I started practicing law when women didn't practice law, and it was very, very hard. And I never thought I could run for an electoral office because I felt that my position was too radical. Now I'm among my kindred souls. I just happen to be 75. But it's incredible. I've met women who are running for office, and I'm going to try and come back to Tennessee to support these two women to get them elected to a local election.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. One thing that we're doing on this show, because you're on the pre-show for Unrigged Live, which we're streaming live to the folks at home who couldn't be here, and maybe now they'll come next year because of your great endorsement. We're playing a game. It's called Real Life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline.
Same thing.
Well, that's what we think. So we put together some questions.
What we have going on.
Yeah, exactly. So Sean's going to read a prompt, and you're going to say whether you think it's real life or a discarded House of Cards plotline.
Or maybe a mix.
Sure.
Okay. A congressperson is expelled from the Senate after trying to help a foreign government take over West Florida. Real life or discarded House of Cards plotline?
House of Cards.
That's real life.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so you're going to want to know how real life. So this was in 1797. A senator and land prospector named William Blount was somehow trying to get the British to take over Florida and Louisiana to increase the value of the land that he owned. So then he was kicked out of Congress and welcomed to his home of Tennessee, where we are, by a military parade.
He was celebrated as a hero after trying to sell part of, I guess, what wasn't yet the United States, but yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for playing.
Yeah, thank you for And I think you have a good point. It does sound like there's no difference, real life or House of Cards.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, if you look back in history, in some ways history is sort of repeating itself. If you look at some of the earlier corruption, much of what is happening now often occurred in different parts and pieces throughout history. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being on this pre-show. Really appreciate meeting you.
Make sure you grab a drink. It looks like people are starting to funnel in, so I don't want to keep you from getting a great seat. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, wow. Well, that was so
She's amazing.
inspiring.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's crazy. These are the kinds of folks that you meet here. You wouldn't expect are, starting to build coalitions themselves, fed up with laws wherever they are, and learning ways to pass them themselves the democratic way with public support.
I'm certainly inspired. Now, for anyone just joining who just missed it, you missed a really inspiring speech from a woman who's here at Unrigged's Summit, who is working on trying to pass a ballot initiative in California. And Unrigged Summit, which is where we are, is the 3-day conference, the largest anti-corruption conference in the U.S. And we're here on the pre-show for Unrigged Live, which begins in 20 minutes.
Just about 20 minutes away from the show starting. And folks are just starting to file in now. If you've seen behind us, this is the group of the 2,000 some odd folks who came out this weekend. People from various walks of life, all different ages, all kinds of cool political perspectives, and they're all finishing up their drinks and rolling in to see the show right now.
Except for our next guest.
Our next guest,
Who's-
Ryan Staggers, an attendee.
Come
of the
on up,
conference. Hey,
Ryan.
come on up, man.
Nice to
Nice
meet you.
Pleasure.
Welcome, welcome. Ryan, tell us, where are you coming from?
North Carolina, Greensboro.
Amazing. And what brought you to the Unrigged conference?
Just the sense of, connecting with other people who are doing organizing work down in the South. From what I thought, it was down in the South, but of course it's all across the country. And connecting with them, getting their perspective on things, and skilling up with them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is, you think, so far one of your biggest takeaways from having attended?
My biggest takeaways, I've heard be bipartisan a lot,
Yeah.
and that's something that I haven't tried doing, so it's something I really want to take back to my community and do and work on more, yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's a highlight so far from your going to any of the sessions or talking to anyone here?
Social media. I feel like, building your social media presence and your policy on how to engage with people online is like the biggest thing. So skilling up around that, we had a panel on that. That was my biggest moment. That was the highlight of everything. And what I'm most excited about, getting back home and actually doing, hopefully.
Social
Amazing.
media.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a social media campaigner.
I'm trying to be a communications lead, so hopefully if I can skill up around that and, learn from what they taught me here, I can do that, yeah.
Incredible. Did you come with anybody else? You just come by yourself?
I came with the North Carolina Greensboro branch of the NAACP.
Very cool.
So we came with them. We came with NC Ignite, which is a group down in Durham, down in Greensboro. And yeah, I think that's everyone who we were able to congregate.
It's amazing that we're getting groups of so many different political persuasions. And I think typically when we think of a summit now, we think it's like one group with one belief system. And instead, it's such a collaboration of belief systems in one place. And everybody's getting along somehow, right? I mean, have you fought with anyone?
I haven't fought with nobody yet.
Yeah, amazing.
Have you tried?
Amazing.
No, definitely not. I feel like everyone here, my biggest apprehension was coming and working with the right and the left, and usually online they don't get along. So I was a little worried what was going to happen, but everyone here has been pretty cool, I feel like, yeah.
So it sounds like some of the perceptions that we have from the media is really not necessarily the case when we're all getting down to work together.
Not at all.
Or at least once you have an issue that you have common ground on, it's easy to build from that. If you start, go ahead.
Exactly, and I feel like the opening planetary that we had this morning really highlighted just loving each other because we are all human, all fighting for a common cause, just to be together,
That's
and
amazing.
work together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And North Carolina could sure use that. I mean, you're in the middle of your own gerrymandering fights and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, working together is definitely what we need. It's not something that's highlighted, and it's definitely what they try to, or what we've seen try to divide us.
Yeah.
When really working in bipartisan ways, as I've learned here, has brought many people together.
Very
as
cool.
y'all have done with the summit.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Well, so you may have seen we're playing a game with people who are coming on the show. All right, good.
The game, yeah.
Yeah, the game.
The game is called Real Life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline, because our theory is truth is stranger than fiction these days.
Yes.
So much strange stuff is happening now, but also throughout our history. So we're going to read you something that may or may not have happened. You have to tell us if you think it's real or something that the House of Cards writers had to throw out because it jumped the shark.
Yes.
All right,
Got
cool.
this. Okay,
Good.
great. So here's your prompts. A member of the House of Representatives is forced to resign after they're caught using campaign funds to purchase Michael Jackson memorabilia. Real life or discarded House of Cards plotline?
That sounds a little too rational, so I would say real life.
It's true. It's real life. You're the first person to get it right. Everybody else has guessed House of Cards. Okay, so here's what really happened. Jesse Jackson Jr. from Illinois spent $750,000 of campaign cash on Michael Jackson fedoras, cashmere capes. He also bought stuffed animals and elk heads with the money. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know.
Michael Jackson stuffed animal?
Like just stuffed animals of him, or like a.
I don't know.
I remember he had the chimp, right? So
maybe
like
it was maybe it was Michael. I think maybe there was just some Michael Jackson memorabilia, then also stuffed animals. Like the elk head, I don't know where that comes in at all.
and that's where our money's going.
Well,
yeah.
it is where our money goes sometimes, but it sounds like he was caught.
Yeah,
so
he was caught.
Otherwise,
These
it
are
would
all
just be a
folks that are
plot
caught.
line.
Do you want to play one more? Do you have time for another?
Can I probably buy the memorabilia too if it was one of my things? Maybe.
Oh, there we go. Okay. You want to do this one?
Yeah, I got another one
Okay,
for you. Okay,
okay.
so a representative is kicked out of Congress for assaulting a fellow congressman. They are then reelected to fill the vacancy caused by their own removal.
House of Cards.
Say it one more time.
House of Cards.
No, this is real. This is real. So Lovell Harrison Rousseau of Kentucky in 1866. The weapon of choice was a cane. This is the second time one representative was beating another one with a cane, and caught at least.
There have been 2 canings on the floor of the House of Representatives in American history.
I do love the idea of 2 canings. That sounds progressive.
Now, I don't know if this is true, but someone did tell me the only reason that either of them stopped was because the cane broke.
Oh no.
Right, that's what we...
That makes it worse.
So there have been more violent and I guess, there's been more aggression in politics in American history. It's not just today. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people used to get beat with like switches and whatnot or belts. I do not think I would want a cane. That sounds
Too hard.
yeah.
No, really, any of it unacceptable. So let's not choose a different weapon.
Yeah.
Or just no.
Hey, thank you so much for spending some time up here with us.
Yeah.
We hope you're able to grab a drink before you go in and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
So
thank you
nice
so
to
much.
meet you.
Such a pleasure. Yeah, have a good one.
Wow.
He was really good at that. He's the only one who's gotten something right so
Only
far.
one.
Okay.
Oh, so we're the 1 for 4.
1 for 4
One
so
for
far.
4 so far.
And we only have 9 minutes until the show starts, so people
So
better
exciting.
start getting them right sooner, right?
I
mean,
know,
come on.
because otherwise we won't start the show.
We won't start the show until until we cross 50%
Right.
threshold.
So
Right.
anyone who's at home listening along, playing along, you can also answer these questions, real life or discarded
Answer
House
in the
of Cards
comment
spelling.
section, and if you have good prompts for us, put them in there too. We'll use them next time,
That's right.
for sure.
That's right.
Well, we have another guest we'd like to bring up, Heidi Champion.
All right.
Is joining us right now. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
Welcome. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Such a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
What brings you to Unrig Summit?
This is my very first summit. I'm here with Future 500 and Bill Shireman, and we're just focused on a bipartisan effort. Bring those guys center right, center left, make a nice big happy sandwich, and focus on some policies that we can all agree on. So yeah.
Have you been able to find some common ground with folks here?
Lots, especially around ranked choice voting. That's a new concept to me. It was introduced in a seminar I went to earlier. Everybody saw a MAGA hat, agree. Bernie Bros, agree. Hillary's, everybody, even newly running supporters, all of their guys, they agree that we should have some choices. We should be able to rank those choices and better reflect who we actually have our trust in and not just be stuck with like duopoly and that's it.
Absolutely.
It seems straightforward the way you put it. Were you surprised at all by what it was like to be in a room with people who are just agreeing even though they're coming from a different place?
I was very surprised. If you watch the mainstream news, you're not really getting that message. You're expecting the guns blazing, the fire torches, my side's better, and all this tribalism. But everything here has been very open and inviting, even from the other side that's genuinely curious, like, why do you feel the way that you feel? Here's my story on how I came to my conclusions. Even if you don't agree, you end up like understanding them and able to connect with them more. And I think that that's really important.
It's crazy how quickly that civility seems to have dissipated in this country. And I heard somebody talking earlier today about how the media is fueled by that antagonism. That's what sells. That's what gets advertising. And so it's cool when you actually bring people together, they find common ground, they talk to each other like people. So it's really cool to see that. What do you think is one of your biggest takeaways that you're going to go home with to your community from having been here at the summit?
When I go home from this summit, I think the largest takeaway that I can have is it's been reconfirmed to me that perhaps all the fighting and the hostility that's perpetuated in the media all the time isn't actually a reflection of regular everyday Americans. They have similar concerns. They're worried about their children, they're worried about their schools, they're worried about their right to work and how that best benefits them state to state. And protecting those things for all Americans is what's really important. So never being repulsed or like take an edge to someone because they're on a different team than me, or they feel differently about politics, levels of importance, or any of that. Always be willing to engage, be willing to talk to them. Those are your neighbors, those could be your friends, and you shouldn't write them off for just simple differences. No matter what kind of fire fuels the mainstream media, you should just leave that alone.
That's
amazing
so well put.
and really well said. I wish. Did someone write that down? Can we get that?
We've got it. We've got it.
I need that on a script.
Online is
I would
writing
love
it down.
to take credit. I'm just going to read that later and take full credit for it. Is what I think I'll do.
It like warms your heart, because really, if all you're watching is anything on cable, even sometimes YouTube, like I try to get and expose myself to different mediums of media, you really think that people are a lot more angry, a lot more hostile to each other, and this conference is the exact opposite of all of that. So
Yeah.
that was very refreshing.
Amazing.
That's exciting.
Well, we would like to play a game with you that we've been playing with all of the guests who come on the show. Okay, good.
You're ready.
She's going to be good at this.
Oh,
The-
Oh my God.
we've had other people on.
so far it's only been 1 in 4 answers are correct. But you love games, so I think you might be our winner. So the game is called Real Life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline. So we're gonna read you a prompt. Sean's gonna read you a prompt, and you have to tell us whether you think it actually happened or it's just a plot line that was discarded from House of Cards.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's ready.
Let's go.
A representative who happens to be a paraplegic is forced to abandon their re-election bid after opponents reveal that they falsified their war record and are, in fact, not a paraplegic at all.
Real life or discarded House of Cards plotline.
Discarded plot line.
Oh!
Real life?
Real life.
Oh, that is real life. So it's unbelievable, right? But that
Who
is
is
true.
it?
So Douglas R. Stringfellow from Utah can you guess what year?
No.
Okay. 19.
I gotta ask what year.
So this was Douglas R. Stringfellow from Utah in 1954. He then, his political career ended and he became a landscape painter.
Here's what I thought. I thought about one of the Roosevelts, and I was like, no, they seriously were sick. Gotta be Game of Thrones plot, or not Game of Thrones.
It's a Game of Thrones.
House of Cards.
That would be even
All the
better.
famous shows, Game of Thrones, Scandal, House of Cards, whatever. Like one of those plot, like, wow. Good to know. 1954. It's in here.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Please enjoy the show. I hope you grab a drink before you go in and enjoy yourself.
Thank you guys
Of course.
so much. This is so much fun.
Thank
nice to
you.
meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. All right, we've only got 4 minutes left
4
until
minutes
the show
until
starts.
the show. That's incredible. So yeah, it's coming right up. I hope everybody who's tuned in has enjoyed us show so far. We've got
We've got one more guest.
We have time for one more guest?
One more guest. We're
Great.
going to make it really quick. Maybe just one question for them, and then the
we'll play the game. Okay, let's do it.
So we've got Charles Crocker. Charles, come on up.
Come on up, Charles.
All right. Hi, Charles.
Oh, good, man. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for
Charles,
joining us.
where are you joining us from?
I'm from Nashville, by
Oh,
way
you're
of
from
DC.
here?
So
Oh,
I'm
amazing.
here now, but I was in DC.
Gotcha. Nashville's
Ah.
gorgeous, by the way. I love it.
Thank
here.
you so much. I built it myself.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
we presumed.
I got here in August.
Oh, amazing. Okay, brand new.
So we only have a couple minutes here. So really quick, you've been here for the summit. Tell us, what's a highlight? What's the best moment you've had so far?
The highlight. I mean, I think it's just seeing everyone coming together for like one purpose. You often get lost in the world without seeing people that have the same ideas as you. But seeing everyone under one roof that wants this whole thing to work out for everyone is incredibly inspiring. So I can't put any moment on it, but it's the concept of it that keeps me inspired and keeps the work that I'm doing worth it.
Amazing. Man, I have so many more questions I want to ask you, but again, the show is like going to start any minute now. So
Any minute.
we're going to go ahead and play this game with you. We've been playing with everybody who came
Love
up.
games.
Because politics is so weird right now, we think truth might be stranger than fiction, so we're playing a game called Real Life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline.
Very cool. I'm in.
So I'm going to read a prompt, right? And then you have to tell us what you think. Real life or Discarded House of Cards Plotline?
Perfect.
All right.
With or without Kevin Spacey.
Well, without. Definitely without.
Okay, good. Very good.
Okay, so a representative shoots and kills a United States attorney in broad daylight right across from the White House and gets away with it.
Real life or discarded House of Cards plotline.
Keep in mind, this could have happened
Discarded plot line.
real life.
Real life.
Oh my God, I'm
No joke.
inspired.
No joke.
This is
That's right.
happening.
That's right. I don't have this one.
Well,
in
it's
front of me.
it's in 1859. That's why
Oh.
it's very deceptive.
Oh,
Sorry.
but
okay.
But
still,
it's kind of interesting.
in broad daylight,
Yeah.
across from the
This
White
shit
House.
happened in Lafayette Square.
Okay, fair. Yeah,
Literally,
fair.
Lincoln's killer was in Lafayette Square, like watching the whole thing go down. He was in a window, and he was like, "I'm gonna kill that guy."
The guy he killed, this is crazy, is Francis Scott Key's son, the guy who wrote the
No
lyrics to the
way.
national anthem. So that's even stranger.
Wow.
So, but he got away with it because he was
Brave
acquitted.
hands are free, am I right?
He
Yeah.
pled temporary insanity.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Who's not temporarily insane when they kill somebody.
no, he was temporarily crazy.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
nuts.
But it goes to show that this is not necessarily the craziest time in American history. Weirder things have happened.
All throughout history. All throughout-
Maybe, okay, maybe not. Boy, maybe not. Hey, man, thank you
right.
so much for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
being on the
It's so
show.
fun.
Oh,
Go
Thank
enjoy
y'all
that
so
show,
much.
all right? Yeah.
I will. Have
Cool.
a good one, y'all.
All right, you too.
Real Nashville person.
We timed this well. We got 1 minute left until this show, you guys.
That's right.
I think it's time to thank everybody for tuning in.
It
and,
is.
And if you're someone at home who's been engaged in the fight for electoral reform, campaign finance reform, getting corruption and money out of politics, gerrymandering reform, thank you for tuning in and watching any of the live streams that you've seen this
yeah,
weekend
and following
so far.
along and sharing and fighting the good fight. Everything that you do to stay informed and to tell people about these issues really does matter, because that's why some of these people came here tonight who you just heard are going to actually fight for campaigns.
It's
So
a monumental time for this movement, and
Thank you
and
so
it wouldn't be
much.
happening without the folks tuning in, the folks here. So
great.
right now, we should talk just for a second, because I think we have another minute,
Oh.
about some of the victories that this movement has scored over the course of the last just year. In fact, mostly in 2018.
Absolutely. So in 2018, we won more anti-corruption victories than at any other time in U.S. history.
That's right.
Which is phenomenal, because the year before that was also a history-making year. We won victories that were on single issue as well as specifically anti-corruption packages that were won in places Michigan, Utah, Florida,
Maine, North
Missouri.
Dakota.
Incredible.
And it's a reflection of people being sick of the system not working for them, and so in taking matters into their own hands, because we've tried waiting for our politicians to do something. They're not going to fix the system themselves. It's
No.
trying to get the fox to put the lock on the hen house.
Right, that's not going to happen.
So people like the folks here today got up and started making those changes themselves. That's what's so cool about what's happening right now in this movement.
Right, and it's working. I think the thing is, there are a lot of people out there who, you know, rightly so, are angry, frustrated with Congress, don't trust Congress to fix things themselves, and so they throw in the towel. They think, you know what, my vote doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do or what I say. We can't really do anything about this. But actually, the people who are here are proving all of that wrong.
Right.
Because we can win. There is an actual path to victory, and it's happening.
In North Dakota alone, a couple of people known now as the badass grandmas, who they're going to get an award tonight, they started a movement that ended up passing a constitutional amendment in their state. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't have happened if the two of them didn't decide in a given moment that they wanted to start doing that.
And they
Starts
were
with an individual.
inspired by the first victory in South Dakota.
Were they?
With the first statewide anti-corruption act.
Amazing.
Which was passed there.
It's amazing.
So it's incredible to see all these people sharing their learnings with each other and building on them. We have people who are sharing what worked for them in their states, and then new people who are planning for 2020. So we're about ready to head on over to Unrigged Live, which will be emceed by Jennifer Lawrence and Ed Helms. So I hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the show tonight. Take care.
Little more gusto this time, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unrigged Live 2019.
This land is your land, this land is my land.
The dawn's early light.
From California to the New York Island.
Was so proudly we
Heard a voice say,
at the twilight's last
this land was made for you and me.
whose broad
This
stripes
land
and bright
is your land, this land is my land.
through the perilous fight.
Redwood forest to the Gulf Stream border.
For the ramparts we were.
I heard a voice say,
so gallantly
this
straight.
land was made for
And
you
the
and
rockets
me.
The boats were singing loud.
Came through the night.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Banner yet wave. Land of the free and the home of the brave. Home of the brave, brave. Home of the brave, brave. Home of the brave, brave. Home of the brave.
This rendition of the national anthem by Allie Blake and Angie Aparo. Give it up.
Unrig, we're in Nashville. Thank you for coming. My name is Zach Wamp. For 16 years, I was a U.S. Congressman from this state, the state of Tennessee. I ran for governor in 2010 against a multi-billionaire. I would not encourage that. I'm not the governor. He is, or he was. But we're so glad that you're here. We thank Unrig and RepresentUs, all the groups, for bringing the Unrig Summit to Nashville, Tennessee. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's crazy sometimes. It was crazy on Lower Broad last night. I'm going to tell you, if you stayed on Monday, you're automatically a Tennessean. If you stay till Tuesday, your cousins will show up, so be careful. You're in the Deep South. And we have a saying in Tennessee that I was country before country was cool. And I want you to know that I was country over party before country over party was cool. And so is Unrig. Because I was with Unrig in New Orleans last year, and we were talking about country over party then, and now everybody seems to be talking about country over party. A quick story. 20 years ago, I joined the Democrats as a Republican and signed the discharge petition to bring McCain-Feingold to the floor. And they wanted a conservative, so I closed the debate on the House floor, and a Republican president signed it into law. 3 years later, our leader, Tom DeLay, held a vote open on the House floor for prescription drugs for Medicare for 3 hours. They tried to get me to come back and change my vote to yes. I wouldn't go. And then I called on him to resign. And he did. And he did. Now, I want to tell you that because that's the kind of country over party that we need today. But I want to tell you this from the bottom of my heart. If you think for a minute that one party or the other is going to fix these problems, or that one party or the other gave us these problems, I want to tell you the reality is we all share in the guilt of this problem, and we all have to be engaged, conservatives, liberals, Republicans, Democrats, independent, in fixing the problem. We have to come together. We have to put our country over party. We are here to come together, to find common ground, to move this forward. The tipping point is near. We need the next generation to lead. And we're here to make sure that we transfer power to a pragmatic generation. And Unrigged is a beautiful, beautiful organization. It's a movement sweeping across the country. And it's my privilege to introduce our co-MCs tonight, Ed Helms and the remarkable Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, sorry. And welcome to Unrigged Live.
Welcome to Unrigged Live, and also to anyone who's watching on the internet. I hope you have pants on, but we're glad that you're watching. I mean, honestly, is there anything more joyous than getting a group of people together because something is horribly broken?
It's like being at a wedding where the couple is horrible for each other, but there's an open bar, so you're like, eh. Ed wrote that joke, I think, because he found out he wasn't invited to my wedding.
I'm still holding out for the invitation.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
I'm just gonna wait.
Okay.
All right.
You can wait.
All right. So we're all here because our government is broken, and I think it's safe to say that if our forefathers were alive today, they would be rolling over in their graves.
Ed, how would they be rolling in their graves if they're alive?
That is a great point. I phrased that badly. What I meant to say is if our forefathers were alive today, I'm pretty sure they would be pretty vocal on Twitter.
Our political system is painfully broken, and that's why we're here. We see government of, by, and for the people slipping away. The very foundations of this country fading into the rear view, and we won't stand for it. We're here because we believe that if we work together, we can fix our government, we can unrig this system, and we can restore the promise of America. And just, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. And just, sorry, that threw me, and I thought it was about me, and I was like, oh. In just the past 14 months, we've proven it by winning the most laws to unrig the system in American history.
Yes, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get out of here.
All right. Why am I here? I am here because I'm being paid a disgusting amount of money to be here. Your tickets were expensive because Eddie needs a new Lambo, right? No, that is not true. I'm here for the same reason that you're here, because I think integrity is awesome. And that's really what it comes down to. Integrity is one of those few things that we can all actually agree on. America is so divided right now. I mean, we can't even agree on whether or not Ed Helms is sexier with a beard or without a beard. This is tearing America apart right now. Okay? But, okay, the answer is both, by the way, but thanks for weighing in. No, there are people who actually don't like integrity. And not surprisingly, those are people who are in power. And the reason they don't like integrity is because it threatens power. And so what winds up happening is that people in power, they use their power not to run the government or move the country forward. They use their power to simply perpetuate power. And they do that by rigging the system. And they've done a ferociously efficient job of it, and we're all pretty screwed right now because of that. But it's why we're here, and we're gonna do something about it. We're going to unrig the system. Literally, tonight, we fix it all. No, but we're gonna move this movement forward, and Jennifer and I are so proud to be a part of it, and we're gonna kick things off tonight with our first speaker. We have so many great musicians and speakers on deck for you tonight. And right off the bat...
I'm back.
Ah.
I didn't know what to do. It slowly came back.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. Our first speaker for tonight is he's an extraordinary guy. He is lovable and delightful and brilliant, and he is the executive director of Represent Us. Please welcome Josh Silver.
Woo!
All right, I gotta follow that. Okay. This is awesome. Thanks everybody for being here. I'm Josh Silver, and I'm going to start tonight by telling you a story that starts here in the Marañón River in northeastern Peru. The year is 1995. I was 26 years old. I was on an epic adventure. I was out to raft the headwaters of the Marañón River into the Amazon basin. I was with this guy, Patchen Miller from New Hampshire, a close friend. 4 days into our journey on this 15-foot by 15-foot raft we had built with 55-gallon floats and a month's worth of food, we were ambushed. And Patchen was shot and killed, and I was left for dead. And I went on a 7-day odyssey. It took me a long time to get to a hospital, and when I got to the hospital, the doctor was picking these 7 pieces of lead out of my leg, saying, mucho suerte. And he explained how the bullets had come just a centimeter from my artery, and if it had hit it, I would have died. A centimeter between life and death. And I came back from that trip, as you would expect, and I was feeling lost. I was feeling this early awareness of my own mortality, and an acute sense that life is short, and I wanted to do something really, really good with this blessing that I'd gotten of this life. I wanted to focus on things that mattered most. And for me, the things that mattered most were overwhelming at 26. It was like, okay, refugee camps, maybe I'll do that. I care about poverty. I care about the climate. I care about education. I care about so much. And it was overwhelming. And I talked to smart people who helped me have the same light bulb moment that has brought you here, right? This oh my God moment where you say, the rigged system is preventing progress on all these issues, and if we don't fix the system, we will never get the leverage to actually fix the issues I care about. And so, it's the leverage, and it's also deeper than that in 2019. Today, the rigged system is the primary cause, the biggest cause, and there are others, of this soft civil war in our country. It is driving everyday Americans apart in a dangerous way. It is driving our politicians into gridlock and extremism and polarization. And yes, these wonky, arcane issues of ethics and transparency and money in politics and fair districts and voting and elections and congressional rules, which don't mean much to most people, but will soon, that these hold the key to the future of our country. And our future of our country is in a really tricky spot. I mean, this is a headline from just a year ago. Almost half of US families can't afford basics like rent and food, 43%. Really think about that. Now I want you to fast forward to 2018. As we've talked about, while the Democrats and Republicans continue to tear each other apart, and with it, the fabric of our nation, we had these remarkable victories that we've been talking about. Really incredible. Yes, Michigan, that's you. That's you. The most wins. And what's really powerful about this is that if you look through the arc of history, this is how change happens. Women's right to vote, on gay marriage and so many other issues, it gets to a point where this rush of state activity ultimately leads to a change in federal law. This is how seemingly intractable change happens. So how did we win last year? You did it. Just as Joshua Gramlin said at the opening plenary, together you put country over party. You showed that a divided country, what uniting looks like. You beat the naysayers. You said, hell yeah. Can you say hell yeah? When the party in power said, not in this state, you said. When the pundits said, this is impossible, you said. When the establishment said, not this year, you said. You proved that transformative reform isn't just possible, it's happening now. It's happening right now. Right now. So the logical question for all of you, for us, is what's next? And I would submit to you that what's next for this group here and for the millions of people who are not here in Nashville but are with us is it is upon us to take this nascent democracy movement and turn it into a big, powerful, badass democracy movement. Can you say hell yeah? We're going to take the momentum from the local victories and we are going to shift it from a political movement to a cultural movement. What do I mean by that? If you look at other issues like marriage equality, criminal justice, they managed to take those issues which were once obscure and made them kitchen table issues that millions of people were talking about around their Thanksgiving tables. And to do that, we have to get 3.5% of the American people actively engaged in this cause. Now, that's a very nerdy number, so let me break it down. They looked at 106 years of data between 1900 and 2006 and found that every political movement in the United States and around the world that got that percentage of people actively engaged won. So it's time for us to set a new goal of 11 million Americans engaged in democracy reform from across all these issues that we work on. We are part of the same family, the same movement. And the question then is, how do we do that? Because that seems daunting to me. I don't know about you. And I think that starts by realizing that this incredible map, look at that map. That's 2018 victories alone, people. 2000 victories. That's what you guys did just last year. We must embrace that these are all interconnected, that the sum must be greater, the whole must be greater than the sum of its parts. Embrace this idea that we must bring together conservatives and progressives because, as I said last year in New Orleans, it's about math. 26% of the country are liberal, 35% are moderate, and 35% are conservative. None of those win alone, and all of them support unrigging the system. And we must focus on policies and reforms that sit at the intersection of impact and political viability. Those that are transformative and game-changing and can be won. It has to be a shared movement with shared resources, shared volunteers. We must be together singing from the same hymnal. Singing from the same hymnal in a way that resonates deeply. That means, what do I mean by that? Let's do less talking about policies and how they work. And let's talk about how these policies solve real-world problems. Let's talk less about politics and let's talk about how are we improving people's lives. That's the key to winning. That's how we build this movement, because if we do, we can envision and manifest a future where our leaders do put country over party, where voters matter more than big donors, where we have real meaningful choices when we go to the ballot, where civility and compassion define rather than defy government. Abraham Lincoln said, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." There are many of us in this room and around the country who feel correctly at times that we are destroying ourselves from within. But I have faith. I have 3 reasons why I believe that we will prevail. Number 1, all of you and all of our friends that are not in this room but are with us care so deeply about this earth and all the people on it, all of them, just like I did when I came back from Peru. Number 2, we all have made that light bulb moment that these unrigging the system, this movement, this holds the key. And 3, we see that there is this movement that is extraordinary. It is on the rise. It's like there's something very powerful right within our grasp right now in 2019, even though things seem dark. So while my faith in government is wavering, my faith in this movement has never been stronger. I've never been more certain that if we take this 2018 map and if we unite around this vision, that map is going to look like this. And a couple years later, it's going to look like this. That's right. So for all of you who love your country as much as I do, I have just a few questions for you before I go. Are you guys ready to unite around this vision? Are you ready to build a big, badass democracy movement? Are you ready to rack up more victories? Are you ready to put country over party? Are you ready to unrig the system? Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thanks. Thank you. Odessa Kelly is one of Nashville's strongest voices for the public interest. She's led the charge against corporate welfare and boondoggles rigged for special interests. A colleague once said, trying to describe Odessa is a bit like trying to describe the Grand Canyon. She will unabashedly challenge you when you are out of line, give you a hug and a pep talk at the exact moment you need it, and fearlessly lead the charge into battle.
For courageously, do I wait for you to finish? Okay, yeah, wait, sorry. For courageously standing up and speaking out over and over again for the people of Nashville, the first 2019 Courage Award goes to Odessa Kelly and Stand Up Nashville.
Thank you. Never thought I'd get an award for pissing people off. So, it's awkward to get an award for what you're supposed to do. First of all, I want to say thank you to my family who is here, to my family who's not here. To Stand Up Nashville, I don't do this by myself. Matter of fact, Stand Up Nashville doesn't do it by itself. It's a collective, like many of you know. So we have a big support base, and I appreciate all those people as well. Someone asked me, why do you do this? And I've been lulling over because there's so many answers, right, to why we all do this. And one of the things I was thinking about is that, now my mama will tell you, because she's here, I ain't the best Christian. But I have faith in God, which mandates me to have faith in you and faith in everyone else. And if we're gonna unrig this system, we have to do it together. So thank you to everyone out here and to all of you who's doing the hard work. Like a great woman out of Georgia said, we are coming for you. To all the people of the working class, those who work 9 to 5s every day and feel like the dignity has been stripped out of your job, understand that we're not gonna stop fighting for you. We're gonna be right here. Thank you.
Nashville is America's music city, so tonight 3 incredible songwriters have agreed to lend their talent to the movement. It's a little taste of Nashville right here inside Unrig. Let's give it up for our first performer, Katie Pruitt.
Real. I wrote this song when I was 19 and felt like I didn't have a voice. And I think that's part of why I'm here tonight, because young people need to know that they do have a voice. Yeah, this song's called Ordinary. Open my eyes, look outside, find an aching to get high after a night of heavy drinking. And all the people on the street got deadlines to meet, and they just go about their day, no time for blinking. It just got me thinking. Am I just another silhouette, a face behind a cigarette, who hasn't found their purpose yet in this cruel world? I've heard of people who were great, who've changed the world, or gone to space, and all their names go down in history. And then there's me. What does that make me? Am I just ordinary? Am I just ordinary? Am I just ordinary? Is there anyone at all who sees what I've been seeing? Whether it's war or divorce, or of course, politicians disagreeing. And yeah, I try to speak my mind, but sometimes it doesn't mean a damn thing, no. 'Cause me, I'm just a small part of a world that's never listening. Is anybody listening? Oh, is nobody listening? 'Cause I'm living in the 21st century. Oh, without an identity. And I'm choking on economy. Honestly, how could I be anything but ordinary? I dreamt my life would be extraordinary, but I don't want to be just ordinary anymore. Lay down my head to go to bed. I slip into a pensive state of mind. With all this pressure that I'm under, it's no wonder I'll be losing sleep tonight. Thanks.
I'm back. Their courage made Michigan one of the movement's most inspiring 2018 victories. The second Courage Award goes to Katie Fahey and her colleagues at Voters Not Politicians. Cheers, of course.
Thanks for doing your video for us.
Of course.
And this is Jamie.
Congratulations.
Whew. So, with a Facebook post, I accidentally started a political movement in Michigan. It literally said, hey, if you want to help end gerrymandering in Michigan, let me know, smiley face. The emoji was very key to saving democracy. The funny part about receiving a Courage Award right now is that I actually made that post because I was afraid to go to Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't want to talk about who voted for who. I wanted to talk about something that I thought would relate to all of us. It backfired. Turned out my family didn't know what gerrymandering was and didn't really care. They ended up caring. But amazing people like Jamie, who is one of the co-founders of Voters Not Politicians, said, you know what? There's a strange person on the internet who wants to end gerrymandering. Might as well give him a shot. And what was really cool is we started meeting online, and for months we never even met in person, yet we trusted each other as other people who were there to make a better Michigan for everyone regardless of party. Thousands of people across Michigan put their lives on hold day in and day out for 2 years, giving their time, energy, creativity, money to try and stand up for a better future when it was just some 27-year-old making another social media post. I feel so thankful to everybody who gave in their time and did trust strangers and each other that this could be possible if we band together. And the really beautiful thing is that on November 6th, 2.5 million people voted yes to end gerrymandering in Michigan. So, to everybody who's out there, whether you know your cause yet or not, I hope that in 2019, right now, that you make your own Facebook post to change the world. Because the world is waiting, and there are certainly a lot of problems, but there are far more solutions, and we are all the keys to those. So, thank you so much.
In 2016, when Katie Fahey posted online that she wanted to take on gerrymandering in Michigan, she had no idea that she would end up leading a statewide ballot initiative to victory. When the establishment told them to stand down, Katie and her team at Voters Not Politicians stood up. Their charisma, leadership, and courage has inspired our movement and the nation.
When the Parkland school shootings devastated the nation, a remarkable group of young activists stood up, including our next speaker. Her speech, "We Call BS," called out the big money in politics that skews gun safety policy. Please welcome Emma Gonzalez.
Hello, everybody. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Unrig for inviting me to speak here today. I am very, very thankful for this opportunity. Second of all, I'm about to throw a lot of information at all of you in this next 10 minutes in the hopes that you will take it and run with it, putting aside your political ideology and absorb the fact that the 19-year-old standing in front of you is one of thousands who has watched their community fall to pieces with no one to put it back together again. I'm speaking out against gun violence for selfish reasons. I'm trying to protect me, my friends, my family, in which we're trying to make a future in which gun violence stops existing. I'm about to give you guys some tools to fight against gun violence too, but if you look at me today with a closed mind, you're gonna have to open back up, or this problem is never gonna go away. I'm also going to tell you good people about gun violence in America, the NRA, and what we as a collective can do to stop the cycle that our country has fallen into. Before I begin, I'd like to clarify that when I talk about the NRA, I do not mean the members who are within it. I mean the people who run the organization at the top. I would also like to say that I, along with the other students that I work with March for Our Lives, are not trying to steal the guns away from the citizens in this country. It's not actually something we're trying to do. In fact, if you look up our website, marchforourlives.com, you can very clearly see under our policy agenda tab all of the changes that we do want to make in the effort of making our country safer, like extreme risk protection orders, comprehensive background checks, mandatory safe storage and theft reporting, funding for gun violence research, and high-capacity magazine bans, just to name a few. We want all of these at a state and federal level. Nowadays, anyone who knew what the NRA was like when it first started would be blown away to see what it's become now. But for us, the shift has been so gradual that many of us have missed it and assumed that it's just always been like this. My dad came with his sister and parents from Cuba in 1968 and moved to Ossining, New York. He and my abuelo joined the NRA as soon as they could and as soon as they got here. One day, my dad was at the shooting range that all the kids in the area went to, and my dad hears this yelling behind him. He hears, "God, you good-for-nothing, worthless piece of shit. God, what a fucking disgrace." It was a full-grown man speaking to his child, holding a gun taller than him. As soon as my dad saw this, he was like, no, this is not my culture, this is not what I signed up for, this is not what I came here for, revoked, deleted, reported goodbye, and he canceled his membership to the NRA immediately. The NRA used to be an organization in which responsible and proud gun owners could be in good company, celebrate gun safety, participate in sharpshooting contests and firearm collecting, whereas now the NRA is an organization that takes kickbacks from gun manufacturers, bankrolls politicians that they want in power, and has lobbyists that make sure that the bills the NRA likes are the only ones that get passed. That's a dramatic shift. They went from being nonprofit to for-profit while remaining under the nonprofit title. The NRA gets money every time a gun is sold. They put that money towards putting politicians that they want in power. Every time a shooting happens, sales go through the roof. The NRA isn't fighting for your Second Amendment rights anymore. They're fighting to fill their wallets and get into the pockets of politicians everywhere. Profiting off of perpetuating murder, that is some Water News from Monsters, Inc. level fucked up. One of the main reasons that most other countries do not have gun violence on the scale that we do is because they don't have the NRA pushing with everything that they've got against gun safety legislation. The NRA has been utilizing anti-gun legislation reform propaganda to twist the minds of Americans into a mob made up of various talking points made to refute common sense and shut down conversations. A good guy with a gun would stop a bad guy with a gun. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. If a bad guy wants a gun that bad, he'll find a way to get one. Cars kill people, should we ban cars now? He was a crazy lone wolf. Over the summer, I had conversations with people all over the country on the Road to Change tour that we had, and I heard many of these talking points thrown right back at me from a lot of people. And every time they were brought up, I countered it with some good old-fashioned common sense. And I'm giving you these talking points so that you can tell them to your relatives that you don't really want to talk politics with over Thanksgiving, like was just mentioned. To quote, a good guy with a gun will stop a bad guy with a gun, the common sense answer is, 1, why does the bad guy have to have a gun in the first place? Oh yeah, the NRA made sure he could buy it. Second of all, if someone is shooting into a room with an AR-15, it is not safe or even feasible for a good guy in the situation to shoot towards the person shooting, because in real life isn't a video game. There's no outline showing who the bad guy is. In many cases, there have been police officers on the scene of shootings that were not able to take down the shooter or help in any way with their firearms, as they would have shot another innocent person. 3, there have been several cases in which black men have stopped shootings, gotten no recognition, or murdered for it. I'm about to. James Shaw Jr., Waffle House shooting, grabbed the gun from the shooter with his bare hands, and Jamel Robertson, a black security guard who was shot and killed by police after detaining a possible shooter. 4, we need to keep race in mind when addressing gun violence, because police brutality, white cops killing black kids because they look threatening, that's gun violence and that's racism. 5, how do you know if somebody actually is a good guy? Sounds to me like we need some background checks, which are incidentally supported by 97% of the people within these United States. Wait, what? Common sense gun reform? Ladies and gentlemen, the NRA has been defeated by its own logic! I had a really fun time writing that line. Over the summer in Utah, one of my coworkers from March for Our Lives was confronted by a man who asked him, "So you don't think I should be able to protect people in a time of crisis with my firearm?" And my coworker said, "You're not a policeman in this scenario, are you, sir?" And he says, "No, just a concerned citizen." And he responded, "Well then, sir, you just described yourself as Batman." The NRA banks on this vigilante hero mentality to sweep through mobs of people before they can think, so that they speak over those who have survived, telling them, "Next time I'll protect you," but there shouldn't have been a first time. Protection? Why protect yourself from a problem you can stop from happening in the first place? To quote, if a bad guy wants a gun that bad, he'll find a way to get it, the common sense answer is, but wouldn't it be better to make it harder? Anyways. In so many places in the country, it's already as easy to buy a gun as it is to buy a burner phone. If there were more laws in place to make it harder for someone to get a gun, don't you think it would be harder for someone to get a gun? The reason behind this talking point is that if it's easy to get a gun, the NRA makes more money because they get money every time a gun gets sold. See, it's this whole circle thing where it always just comes back to the NRA making money and using it to fuck over everybody. To quote, guns don't kill people, people kill people, the common sense answer is, granted, partially true, guns don't move on their own, inanimate objects don't tend to do that, but that exact reaction that I just had here is what the NRA is banking on logical people to think, because it completely steers the conversation away from guns. The purpose of a gun is to kill or injure an animal or person, and this phrase tries to make the people talking about gun legislation forget the physical damage that guns do. Take knives, for example. There's no way any one person could injure 17 people and kill 17 people in less than 7 minutes with knives without being stopped. Gunshot wounds have an incredibly high rate of mortality, not to mention the trauma that the victims' families, communities are left with after those wounds heal. We need to keep guns in the conversation when addressing gun violence. I didn't think we'd have to actually outline that one, but apparently it's, important. To quote, cars kill a lot of people, should we ban cars? The common sense answer is, cars are modes of transportation, and guns are weapons. Also, in today's society, we acknowledge that cars are dangerous and kill a lot of people, and have addressed it properly. When shootings happen, no one blames the gun, just the shooter and the victims. But when cars crash, we evaluate how safe the car was for the driver. Cars have airbags and seatbelts now. It's illegal for children to sit in the front seat. They're made of different materials that respond to crashes better, and you cannot buy or drive a car without having practiced driving before, without having a license to prove that you can drive and that you can do it safely. To quote, he was mentally ill, he was a lone wolf, he was a crazy person, the common sense answer is, look at the pattern that the media and the NRA follows. They only say this when the shooter is white. If they're brown, they call it terrorism, and if they're black, they call it gang-related. The messaging that the NRA puts out in regards to only associating mental illness with mass shooters is disgusting and pathetic, and that alone has set us God knows how many years behind in our fight for mental health reform and awareness. People who are mentally ill are more likely to kill themselves than anyone else. 60% of all gun violence in the United States is made up of suicides. When talking about gun violence, we need to address this, create better systems that prevent people from taking their lives, and get real treatment for those with mental illnesses rather than listen to people on TV scream that they're crazy and evil. This train of thought brings me to school safety. March for Our Lives is not an organization that only cares about stopping gun violence in schools. We care about stopping gun violence in America. If we only stopped gun violence in schools, where does that leave concerts, front porches, movie theaters, bus stops, nightclubs, churches, front steps of churches? If we stop gun violence from happening in one place, it's gonna keep happening in other places, and that's not really stopping gun violence. It's almost like saying guns don't kill people, places kill people, and then build those places out of Kevlar to protect the people in them instead of actually addressing the guns. No part of my talking about school safety is directed at any person or people fighting for school safety, but as someone who's still in school, I have a lot to say about this because it's fucked up. Adults want kids to be safe, not feel safe. They want schools to look like prisons with barbed wire fences and single points of entry and metal detectors and clear backpacks and furniture bolted down to the floor, bulletproof glass and hard corners. Students want schools without shooter drills, with trauma and LGBT+ trained mental health professionals, with administrators who don't treat us with the contempt that they would for a cockroach they're gonna step on, with healthy lunches, with art and music and athletic programs, with teachers who get paid a reasonable salary and aren't forced to carry a gun, where police officers don't roam around with AR-15s and arrest the black and brown kids for behavior no worse than their white dueling counterparts under the guise that they're there for the students' safety, where our basic human rights aren't denied on a daily basis. It should be easier for people to get access to trauma-trained mental health professionals, especially students, but it's easier to get a gun than help in this country. The NRA has made it that easy. Long story short, I am tired. I'm tired and I'm sad. I'm wearing a shirt today that says, I don't want my friends to die anymore, for a reason. The reason is that they keep dying. Everyone I know is filled with sadness, trauma, rage, terror, grief, pain, a lot of feelings that don't make sense to teenagers. And we feel this way for reasons that a lot of people in charge of this country still don't understand. And a lot of them are still in power because they're incumbents, or because of gerrymandering, or voter fraud, or any of the other fucked up shit that some representatives pull to stay in office. It's up to us to change the system that allows them to do this. Just like how in the last midterm election we saw an incredible rise of youth voter turnout all over the country that led to more representation in our government than in the history of this country. It's our collective duty to vote in 2020, and in every election after that is just as important, for all the people that we believe will bring lasting positive change to our country. Don't get distracted by who's running for president. Focus and get down into the nitty-gritty. Look who's running in your district for House, in your Senate, in your state for Senate, in your county for school board, regardless of party affiliation, because your vote affects more than just your life. And party identification alone doesn't always tell you what you need to know about the candidate. More than voting, you can take your stories in person to the representatives and congresspeople and tell them what matters most to you, their constituent, that they get done in office. All I know is that all of this is common sense, that everyone in this country deserves to be safe from gun violence, and that when we work together, we make the change that we need to see in the world. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Courtney Marie Andrews.
You're a good woman and a good friend. You got a good heart even when it's busted and bent. Lipstick and perfume, underground queen, wearing loneliness like a costume for the whole world to see. But if your money runs out and your good looks fade, may your kindness remain. Oh, may your kindness remain. Broke on a bar stool, throwing your paycheck away on overpriced booze, slots, and valet. Fortune might buy you diamonds, all shiny and new, but it can't buy you happiness or love that is true. So if your money runs out and your good looks fade, may your kindness remain. Oh, may your kindness remain. The richest of people aren't rich with houses, cars, or fame. No, they're not rich with something that can be bought or arranged. No, it's kindness that makes them beautiful, and a kind heart don't cost a dime. It's a gift that keeps giving for
So if your money runs out and your good looks fade, may your kindness remain. Oh, may your kindness remain. Oh, may your kindness remain. May your kindness remain.
When North Dakota received a D- in a state government integrity report, Dina Butcher, Ellen Chafee, and Catherine Tweeden took matters into their own hands. These self-described badass grandmas built a right-left coalition, gathered thousands of signatures, and passed the North Dakota Anti-Corruption Amendment, one of the nation's toughest ethics and transparency laws.
I could not be more excited to present the third Courage Award to these badass grandmas. Ellen and Dina, come on out.
Thank you. Your line.
I'm Dina Butcher.
And I'm Ellen Chafee.
I'm a Republican.
And I'm a Democrat. And we are, say it with us now, badass grandmas. Citizens United and the Bakken oil boom have been pretty hard on the land and the water and the air in our beloved state, but it did bring us what some have called the best state government money can buy. 3 years ago, some of us said no and came to the conclusion that's been alluded to here tonight: fixing corruption fixes everything. It's the root cause of everything we need to have changed. What we may not have fully appreciated at the time was the odds that were against us, because I think it's best if you start these things with some level of innocence about what's ahead of you. At the end of the day, we ended up with 19 out-of-state and multinational corporations, trade associations, the ACLU, and the Catholic Conference on the other side of the issue. So one of the things that we have learned to do as badass grandmas is, ready? Kick ass. But seriously, one of my most vivid memories of recent times was 2 years ago when I was talking to Dan Krasner on the phone. And I was kind of incredulous at what he was telling me, and what he summarized it by saying was, no, seriously, there is a pro-democracy movement in this country. And it just opened whole new vistas, I think, for all of us. And we came to Unrigged last year, and that kept us going. I think of it now as the democracy community. And so many of you here, and certainly many, many of our wonderful friends at home, wrapped themselves around us and said, you're okay, we're gonna get this done. We made a lot of mistakes, but people here and there made it safe and inspired us to continue. So in closing, it occurs to me that there are synonyms for badass grandma that make a lot of sense to me. A synonym for badass is fierce. A synonym for grandmas, Desmond, is love. So our new friend Steve suggested that Badass Grandma has already become a movement. We said, yeah, we'll have to go see what we can do. You know, other people are telling us that. And he said, no, you don't have to start anything. It's already there. And based on the reactions that we've had from many of you today, we are announcing the national movement for Badass Grandmas. You want to do the hashtag? You want to do the hashtag? We have a hashtag and swag.
Hashtag Badass Grandmas.
Yes.
And our swag will be on the internet someday to be announced.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. She made us laugh on Saturday Night Live. She's the host of Sasheer Zamata Party Time. Please welcome Sasheer Zamata.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm so glad I was invited to be a part of this inspirational event to give you a break from that inspiration. I'm the clown for the night. I'm going to do some stand-up and some jokes. I've been labeled as a political comedian before, and I keep getting labeled as that, which is fine, but I don't really talk about politics in my act because I don't care. No, I do care. I just don't know anything. But I think I get labeled as that because I talk about my life, which sometimes entails being black, living in America, being a woman, and sometimes that's political. But I don't mind it. You can think that. But I like talking about race in my set sometimes because I like to make a room feel comfortable. And I've found sometimes people don't like that, which I get. It makes people feel uncomfortable. I've done shows where you could like literally hear assholes tighten up, like, make her stop! But I won't. But I don't think race is such a touchy, taboo topic that we can't discuss or laugh at or think about. Like, we can talk about this stuff. And I also think it's good to, like, ask questions and talk to people who are not like you so you can actually know if you're stepping on someone's toes or offending someone or you had a blind spot your whole life that you weren't even aware of. Like, when I was in college, I lived down the hall from this foreign exchange student from Korea. And she kept asking me if I knew different people. Some people already know where this is going. She'd be like, do you know John? And I'd be like, no. She's like, well, you know Shayna, right? And I'd be like, no. And I'm not sure what tipped me off, but I started to wonder if she was only asking me if I knew black people. So I asked her, I was like, are you only asking me if I know black people? And she goes, yes. And I was like, do you think I know all the black people at this school because I'm black? And she goes, yes, uh-huh. And I was like, you can't do that. That's a stereotype. That'd be like if I assumed you knew all the Korean people at this school. And she goes, I do. We all know each other. And I was like, never mind. It's a good thing we kept talking. If that conversation had ended 2 sentences before that, I would have walked away being like, that racist bitch. And she would have walked away being like, what's wrong with this antisocial black girl? She's not hanging out with her friends. I'm glad to be here. I think this is my first time in Nashville. Yeah. I have no specific jokes about Nashville yet. I've barely explored it. Y'all do get drunk early. My God. Someone like bumped into me and I was like, it's 6 p.m. Like, go inside. What are you doing? What? Show me the money. That's such an old movie and I have no idea what the reference is. Cool. Are you drunk? And that's cool too. I didn't realize that's what this event was. Let's get lit. I have been to Memphis, which is not this. Oh, okay, yeah. We're far, right? It's like hours away from here. And I told this ghost story at a show in Memphis, and I'm convinced there is now a ghost following me. This is a story I told. So I was in New Orleans, falling in love. I fell in love with my current boyfriend, soon to be ex. No, I'm just kidding. For now, no. In New Orleans, and it was really nice. We did mushrooms, which, and I suggest that to no one. I mean, yes, do mushrooms, not in New Orleans. My God. I could feel every spirit, every energy, every life force, living and dead, was inside my body, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. I remember like standing on the street looking in the window at some gallery paintings, and we're like, this is cool. And then I felt a tickle on my back, and I turned around, and my man was not next to me. He was like a few feet away, and I was like, did you touch me? And he's like, no. And I was like, we should go to the hotel. We go to the hotel, try to make out, failed miserably. It was so, I don't know if anyone's ever tried to like make out on drugs before. I felt like his head was inside my head and mine was eating his. It was just like, I don't know where we are. So we stopped, went to bed, and in the morning we were talking about our trip, and I was like, what'd you experience? He's like, what'd you experience? And I said, I felt like the door to our room was wide open, and there was a third person in the room just standing in the corner. And then he said the exact same thing, which means there was a ghost who was maybe a pervert of the hotel. And their mission was to like watch people hook up in this hotel. And it worked. And so I told this story in Memphis at a totally separate show, and then rain started pouring down really hard, and the light bulb above me burst. And I like hit the floor because I was like, guns, what's happening? I know I'm in the South. I don't know what's going on. And then the people in the audience thought that I like brought pyrotechnics. They're like, was that part of the act? And I was like, no, this is a bar show. You think I'm bringing pyrotechnics to the show? And then I like didn't want to touch the mic because I was like, is this okay? And the staff's like, nah. And I'm like kind of even scared to like talk about it now because I'm like, is this ghost following me still? I think this ghost is just like, keep my name out your mouth, bitch. I helped you and your boyfriend hook up, and now you're happy. Now leave me alone. I guess I'm supposed to get off at some point in time. Okay. This year, I've been working on my emotional and mental health. I think it's important. Thank you. I'm mostly doing it because the people around me told me I should. And I'm also working on listening. I went to therapy years ago, and I stopped because we got in a fight. Not my fault. I think I was confused. She was just this older woman yelling at me, and I was like, is this love? It's not. I'm learning. And so now I'm in LA trying to find a new therapist, and I just forgot how hard and arduous this process is. Like, I'm not even at the point where I'm meeting people. I'm just like making phone calls, and even that's a lot. Like I'm calling these offices, and sometimes they don't pick up, which makes sense. It's a business. Maybe they're in session or something. And then they'll ask you to leave a message, and I think that is so cruel. You know how much strength it took me to get to this point, to make the call? You think I can compose a voicemail? And the first time it happened, I was so not prepared. I didn't have a script ready. I didn't even know what questions to ask. It just beeped, and it was like, please leave a voicemail. And I was like, help. Help me. Just help me, help me. Just call me back for the help. She called back immediately. It was a literal cry for help. And when she called back, she let me know that they didn't have any more room for new clients. And I was like, this rejection is triggering. But I'm confident I'll find someone. All right, I'll leave you with that. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Okay, everybody, you have to bear with me. I think I've been talking to too many of you, but it's been a pleasure. So, I am Joshua Graham Lynn, co-founder of RepresentUs, and thank you. Look, despite this horrible voice right now, I really could not pass up the opportunity to introduce our next speaker, because I think she's a truly incredible woman. I first heard Kate speak about 6 months ago about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She talked for about 20 minutes, and in those 20 minutes, I swear, I learned more about our responsibilities as humans than I had in 20 years. And so, you can imagine how thrilled I was when I asked her to come speak here at Unrig, and she said yes. And part of the reason that she's here, we discussed it, is that American democracy is not just about America, right? We have a place in the world. And if we don't protect our democracy, that place in the world is not protected either. And so, for America, and for the rest of the world, and for all of us in our responsibility as humans, will you please help me welcome the incredible Kate Gilmore.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this privilege. You trailblazers, you movers and shakers, you bare-knuckle troublemakers. Thank you for disrupting indifference, for defying despair, for disturbing deep-down descent into defeat. Thank you for refusing to let sector, your community, your tribe, become your border, become your wall, become your darkness. Thank you for dismantling the worn-out boundaries of old party platforms and old political poles. Thank you for reclaiming party for dancing. Although, personally, stay away from the pole. Thank you for understanding we can't shape this world unless we take responsibility for the shape this world is in. Thank you for thinking bigger, for seeing further. Thank you for wanting more for us all. Thank you for this food for soul, this source for heart, that only acts of connection and acceptance and engagement provide. Thank you for seeing in each other, in all our diversity, in all our difference and distinction, that precious truth for which there is no conscionable alternative. That which the Universal Declaration of Human Rights expresses thus: born we all are, free and equal, in dignity and in human rights. Born with rights to life, liberty, and security of person, that we may live and love without fear. Rights to education, to health, to shelter, to decent work, so we always have to hand dignity's essentials. Rights to live free from discrimination's hatefulness, from arbitrary arrest, from the cruelty of torture, that we safely may assume those who have power over us are accountable to us. Our right to speak out, to stand up, so that we may not be malevolently rendered silent. Rights. They're not opinions, they're not arbitrary, they're not ideological, they're codified legal standards set out by international law and treaty, tested now in jurisdictions the world over. Friends, rights are not a privileged project. In modern form, they came from amidst the rubble, rack and ruin wrought by the gravest violent extremism in living human memory, World War II. And in 1948, they were drafted into the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. An enduring encapsulation of what it means for a humanizing relationship between power and relative powerlessness. But you know, rights, they're no more only modern than wrongs are only recent. The 6th century BC king of Mesopotamia recognized he better uphold his people's freedom of thought, belief, and movement long before the United Kingdom's 13th century Magna Carta sought to bend the king's knee in a little closer to the rightful will of the people. In the same century that African's Mandan Charter promised gender equality, which was 3 centuries before William Shakespeare denounced London's xenophobic riots as mountainous inhumanity. That a promise is poorly kept brings no shame to the promise. The 19th century anti-slavery struggle, the 20th century anti-colonial struggles, the 21st century #MeToo and Black Lives Matter, movements down through the centuries across culture, faith, and tradition. I'm telling you, universally, we hunger for food, we thirst for water, and we long too for justice. In this, there is no north or south. There's no east or west. There's no right or left. There's only the humane and the inhumane. Yep, it's tough times. Tough times for rights because they're tougher times for most and turbulent times for many. Stand apart nationalism, fact-defying populism, law-defying leadership, corruption of public purpose and good, that distinguishes much of our politics today. And you know, it's never going to evolve our systems of governance, legal, financial, political, into ones that are better suited to this unfamiliar world. A world of big data, of global financing, of extreme inequality, of intractable conflict, of mass migration, of ecological upheaval. A world where policy pivots are no more than a tweet, where the local is made by technology, somehow less geographical. In a world where so-called social media is just so antisocial. We won't manage this world of disruption, of transformation, by manufacturing contempt for the foreigner, by baseless trust of those who look or love or worship differently, by clamping down on the freedom of the press, by encroaching on public movement, by closing borders against people fleeing persecution, by gagging activists to the contrary. These denials of human rights, they lead only to death ends, dead ends, death-ridden ends. And the pounding of those malicious fists grows daily louder on the doors of our dignity, on our privacy, on our mental and physical integrity, and against our freedoms, and we must resist. We must stand up. We must stand up to the narratives of hate. We've got to tell stronger, truer, more humanizing stories about robust compassion, about cooperation, not competition, about how most of us would rather live in a world where everyone is treated with respect and dignity. We've got to stand up for greater equality. You know, with next to no effort at all invested by leaders to prevent extremist greed and corruption, in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, inequality has only deepened, gnawing further away at those with the least. And around the world, growing public fury is evident at every ballot box. But friends, no one's hope can be rooted in another person's hopelessness. And yet, this concentration of wealth and resources globally into the hands of the few remains largely uncontested. Let's stand up. Let's stand up against wealth's unjust concentration, against its moral and fiscal corruption. Let's stand up to greed. Let's stand up, too, for a more intimate security. Of course, fear of terrorism looms large in our public narratives. But you know, in most places it does so disproportionately. Far more corrosive, far more prevalent, far less spoken of is the public impunity granted to the private crimes of high priests of culture, commerce, and church. The hashtag #MeToo movement said it's time to stand up for a personal, intimate security on the streets, in the workplace, from the boardroom to the bedroom. Stand up against sexual and racial and homophobic harassment and assault. Stand up. Stand up against the abuse of power on which those hatreds depend. And we must stand up for truth. You know, these public lies masquerading as if they were public truths, falling so readily from the mouths of public leaders, fake news, election manipulation. It's left most of us unclear, unable to distinguish the real from the false. Let's stand up for truth capability. Let's stand up for pluralistic public and local media. Let's stand up for accountability from big data companies and greater investment to strengthen our community's discernment of fact and of evidence. And let's stand up for greater civic participation, not only for democratic representation. You know, if it were not for civic activism, there would be very few breakthroughs in art, in technology, even in politics. Without activism, no end to slavery, no affordable antiretrovirals, no protection of endangered species, no exposure of child sexual assault, no marriage equality. We must stand up for activism. It's our human right. We've got to stand up for human rights activists. And we must stand up against their persecution and their silencing. Friends, an extraordinary literary disruptor, Ursula Le Guin, just before she died, she warned us hard times are coming, when we will be wanting the voices of those who can see alternatives to how we live now, who can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being. Poets, visionaries, realists of a larger reality. Let's be realists of a far larger, a far more generous, a more compassionate, more justice-loving, democratic reality. Let's be realists of a far larger reality. And in this, I just want you to feel you can take courage. For even in the darkest cells of the cruelest prisons, hankered down in resource-depleted refugee camps, huddled together in fragile settlement perched high on remote mountaintops, shuffling along barely shoulder-wide alleyways of sprawling slums, peppered among street workers and street walkers, heard in the mutterings of the farm labourer, the murmurs on the factory floor, the chanting of Indigenous people, the calls of student protesters, even in the absence of well-intended global elites. Well, at times, possibly still a small and sputtering, flickering flame, still always there are those who will not lie down, who will not be silenced, who will stand up for their rights in defense too of ours. They stood up for us. Let us stand up for them. Let us lower the fist, extend the hand, and stand up for our human rights.
Please welcome Taylor Goldsmith.
Hello. All right. I wrote this song a few years ago, but then when I was asked to come sing here, I felt like I wrote this song about unrig the system without even knowing I did. It's kind of a political song, but beyond that, it's actually just about how we communicate with each other and how we more or less forgot how to do that, and how we got to this place where we're waiting for everyone else to shut up so we can just get back to yelling at them, and forgetting that everyone, no matter how misguided or irresponsible their attitudes or opinions might be, the fact that these are human beings, and the only way we're ever going to connect with each other is by civilly, respectfully, just talking and not yelling and not being so angry. And it's hard to do. This whole thing ends in forgiveness one way or the other. The song's called Crack the Case. I will do your interview, try to explain what I'm going through, give you something to read into in a million different ways. A sick version of telephone starts at the clip of the microphone. A game we thought we had all outgrown, but still everybody plays. Ignoring all of the remedies, believing all of the rumors, with their endless database. I wanna sit with my enemies and say we should have done this sooner, while I look them in the face. Maybe that would crack the case. I got a friend who's been thinking about finally kicking her husband out. His second life as a talent scout finally got him caught. While she was throwing out all his clothes, she heard a voice from beyond the throes. Punish him for the life he chose, but forgive the past that he did not. It's really hard to hate anyone when you know what they've lived through. And once they've given you a taste, she said, this is for you to overcome, but I will always love you. In her perfect state of grace. Maybe that could crack the case. Now that we're through with formalities, what is it you want to ask of me? I'll answer open and honestly, whatever that means. Finding out that we occupy somebody else's opposing side. On the banks of some great divide, two versions of a dream. Countless revisions of history, trying to tell us the future. Between each commercial break, I wanna call off the cavalry, declare no winners or losers, and forgive our shared mistakes. You can pick the time and place. Maybe that would crack the case.
Desmond Meade went from homelessness to the president of the Florida Restoration Rights Coalition. In 2018, he and his incredible team passed Amendment 4, the largest expansion of voting rights in the United States in half a century, restoring the voting rights of 1.4 million Floridians with felony convictions. Desmond and his colleagues' tireless work and unwavering courage serve as a beacon for voting rights advocates everywhere.
Courage Award goes to a campaign that defied the odds. The Florida Rights Restoration Coalition redefined what is possible for the voting rights movement in the 21st century. A big Nashville welcome to Desmond Meade.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. They must have known that I can't stand behind the podium, so they gave me what they call a portable mic or whatever. You know, I first want to just thank RepresentUs and the Unrigged Summit for recognizing the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and the work that we've done. And I also want to give a special shout out to the love of my life, my wife, Sheena Meade, who is back home with my 5 kids, roller skating without me. You know, as I was self-appointing myself as a member of the new Badass Grandma movement, sitting there, I thought I figured out what I was going to say when I got up here, and so after I figured it out, I said, well, let me go and use the restroom and get ready, right? And as I exited the restroom, I ran into this young man who hugged me with tears in his eyes and telling me that because of our work, his mother got the right to vote back. And as he teared up and he just shattered whatever it was that I was going to say to you all, and reminded me that what this represents is far more than that great, amazing victory that we had on November. What this represents is that each of you that's out there that have dreams and that you have hopes, you have desires for creating a much better society, a much better country, a much better world, that it can happen. That it can happen. What this represents is that that word impossible now means that I'm possible, that we're possible. It means that unrigging the system is possible. But there's one thing that we can't forget. We must never forget. You know, I remember growing up and hearing somebody say that we must want for our neighbor what we want for ourselves. And understanding that the things that we desire are things that we must work towards making possible for other people. So understanding that I'm possible, know that you're possible. Understanding that I'm possible, know that I must engage in tearing down this system and unrigging this system in such a way that leads with love. Because I must not do it for me and my personal wishes or my desires. But if I can focus on making your world a better place, if you can focus on making somebody else's world a better place, whether they fall under the letters of LGBTQI, whether they're labeled an immigrant, whether they're our young folks, whether they're labeled a felon or returning citizen, that we must, deep in our soul, want what's best for them. And only when they get it do we get it. And so when I was here last year and I opened and I closed with that Pledge of Allegiance that said what? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For all. As we move forth after this summit, after we move forth to unrig this system, we must always keep those who are weakest among us at the core of what we do, and want for them more than we want for ourselves, and that's when we will unrig the system. That's when we'll change our society and make this world a better place for you and for me. Thank you.
You're at the podium.
She said go to the podium.
Do the podium?
She said podium before I left.
But I'm
Okay.
I'm like out here.
Okay, all right.
I'm adrift.
I can come out here too, man.
How are we doing? I think we've had a pretty awesome night so far. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I should go back to the podium.
All right, let's go back. There's a lot of stuff going on.
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we should. Yeah.
Let's go back to the
Okay,
podium.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's do
This
what
is
we're told.
my podium.
So, I think I have one question for Jennifer Lawrence that I think has been on everyone's mind since the top of the show.
Oh.
Which is why am I not invited to your wedding?
It's just friends and family, man. Yeah. We don't know each other.
No,
All right.
that gets a boo. You're right
And
to boo that.
Will you come to my wedding? Will you officiate my wedding?
Yeah, I will.
We are in the market.
Do you like banjo music at your wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He plays the banjo.
Yes, and as someone in the audience pointed out, I could throw a killer bachelor party, even though I have not met your fiance.
You can't even remember his name. Say it. What's his name?
His name is Darren's.
That's a combination of like all my exes.
Darren's Clackledorf.
Yes.
Yes, I knew
I will
it.
be Mrs. What was it? Crackledorf?
Yeah, Clackledorf.
I'm thrilled. I don't know if you guys
Do you
can
have any
tell, but we don't have anything on the prompter.
This is very tightly scripted. Every bit of
Don't
this.
worry, everything's being held together. We have this. We've
I
got this.
slaved
we
over
are
this exchange
professionals. We were made
for
moments
hours.
like this.
This is what it all comes down to, ladies
This
and
is
gentlemen.
why they hire pros.
So who did a better job tonight, Jennifer Lawrence or Ed Helms? I think that's probably on everyone's
Yeah.
mind, right?
Yeah. How do we do it? By
Yeah.
applause?
No, let's not do that.
Oh, I got so competitive.
wanna
I was like,
know.
yeah, let's do it.
Do you have any questions for me? No,
No,
I think,
not really.
Yeah, so let's get this.
Yeah.
Let's keep this show going because
They're not
we're
ready.
gonna
Okay.
keep.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is a little of this right now.
Asking someone a question. Oh,
Any-
never been my
Why don't we
strong
take a
suit.
question? Are you actually ready? No. Oh,
Yeah, no, she's like, don't look at me.
we're gonna take a question from the audience.
Oh, okay.
Raise your hands.
Nobody's raising their hand. Oh my God. We've lost the med. Okay, yeah, the loudest person here. What?
What is the name of your two's movie?
Of what?
what? Oh, of your two's movie. Wow, well worded.
What is the name of the movie that we would do together?
Cracklemorph? What was the word that you just said? The Beauty and the Beast?
How? What? It's so horrible that you would refer to yourself as a beast. I think you're so much more. That's. I think it would be the hunger over.
What?
Right?
Is that a fat joke? He's like, I'm screwed because it was.
All right. Well, we would love to keep this going because this is amazing.
There's nothing I love
But,
more than not having anything to say on stage.
We're wrapping this up with such a special treat. We have a very special guest on stage right now. Please welcome Nashville's own, the new Respects.
Woo! Oh my God.
I'm sitting in the kitchen eating yellow rice and chicken, watching Saturday morning cartoons. Need a little pepper and hey, Arnold, can you poke me some juice? Super hot cold, sitting on a hot stove, 'cause my mama trying to straighten my hair. She whispered in my ear, be a blessing, my dear, it's a different world out
I said, bandmates, are y'all ready?
Are you feeling good? You can tell me if you're not. I'm feeling bad. You're looking a little bit sad. Cause I'll be happy to. It's okay if you're not, just give me what you got, cause I'm in it with you. Oh.
Thank you guys so much. I'm not gonna lie, we didn't fully expect you guys to be dancing with us, so what a pleasant surprise. Once again, we're the New Respects from right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is truly an honor to be here, to be a part of this amazing event. So thank you guys for having us, thank you for welcoming us, and thank you for dancing the whole time that we play music. This next song we wrote in LA, and it's basically about, we're all family, and it's about doing the right thing and forgiving each other before we let the sun go down. So if you're mad at your sibling, forgive them. And the world is better when we just forgive. So that's what this next song is about.